fatherhood and a good partnership in marriage is by far the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life, and everything else is a distant second, third, and fourth. And I think there was a part of me that was attracted to that because we really have made the fatherhood, the bumbling married with children looking father or Family Guy father, or that it's a burden, and kids, like, you can't have toys because your kids take so much money, and your wife is going to have kids, and then sex will never be seized, and you go through the honeymoon phase, and then it'll never be like that again. And like, man, that's such a lie. So much of that is a lie, and I think steering so many young men in the wrong direction.
Well, dude, it's good to see you again, man.
Yes, you too.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out how long the last time you and I were chopping it up, and I can't remember if Max was born yet or about to have him. Do you remember?
I think you were about to have him.
About to have him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he turned 6 in July, so 6 years.
Well, no, then he was just born.
He was probably born
here in August of 2019.
Okay.
So is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was July. Boy, he's a month old.
Yeah, he was brand new, man. And now and I came in here, I was like, he's like 3 now, right? You're like, no, he's 6.
Okay, I think I did the same thing about your kids. I'm like, what are they, like 13, 14? Yeah, no, I got a man home.
I gotta tell you, man, like the time has flown. And I remember when you had him, but I gotta just ask, man, like, obviously we'll get to your background and all that, but what does it feel like to be a dad of a boy?
I tell you what, it's tough to not get emotional when I talk about him, how powerful it is, dude. It's a trip, and maybe more so for me for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you've had me on the show before. We talked about my dad's suicide when I was a kid, but maybe more so because at one point in my life, I thought I might not have a kid. I mean, I remember Katrina and I had been together almost 16 years. And there was a point in our relationship where as we were getting into our mid 30s, and, we weren't where we wanted to be career-wise yet before we had a family, either one of us. And, we both kind of agreed, like, hey, maybe we don't have kids. And which is crazy to think, I thought I was okay with that. Because you don't know what you don't know, And I know every dad friend of mine always told me, but it doesn't matter until you experience it yourself, So yeah, I think maybe what probably gets me a little emotional when I think about it is the fact that I almost didn't have that kid, and I think, oh my God, it changed everything for me. If you would have asked me 6.5 years ago, what's your purpose in life, I would have come up with some, fancy legacy talk of my last name or something, or what I was building or whatever. No. I mean, everything I think about is through the lens of being his father, and that he's what's going to carry on any remnants of me and our name. And so it's cool. And I like it. It's actually, it's for sure made me a better man. I mean, I don't think I actively do this subconsciously. When somebody asks me to do something, or I'm at a fork in the road of a decision that I'm trying to make, I have this ability now to look through the lens of what would my son think if I did that, or what happens one day when he has to make this decision. How am I going to explain to him what I'm about to do or not do? Or, if this was my son that was going to go through this right now, what would I advise him to do? Like, it's there now. Now that I'm a dad, I think that way. And so it's definitely made me a better human being. And so grateful, so blessed. And then probably like a lot of fathers that maybe went down the same path as me, became a father later in life. Now I wish I had 10. I wish I had, you see the outcome of what he is becoming. And you're like, oh man, I could have had 10 of you, dude. You're so cool.
Are you guys done?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, we could potentially, Katrina and I are not trying, so it could happen. But we are getting at an age where it puts us at a health risk.
Yeah.
It's her at a health risk. obviously not me, but her, at a health risk. She's a year older than me even. So she's 45 this year. So at some point, I know that we probably should hang it up. Now, because we're both really healthy for our age, I think we've not shut it down completely yet. And also there's that hope. I mean, I hope that we have another one. But we have it, and it's been quite some time. And so, I don't know. It's probably going to be just him. But I'm a believer. I believe in something greater than me. Then I think that God's in control and he knows what's best for me. And I feel so blessed for the type of kid that he is. And maybe that's what it's supposed to look like for me, that I get to pour everything I got into just that one, so, I'm not sure what he's got planned for me, but absolutely. If you ask me now, I mean, I'd go back and say, I'd like to have 10 of them if I could.
I didn't know you were 44.
Yeah.
I thought you were still like in your 30s.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
so like I like a legit question. I was like, man, 44. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
44.
Yeah. Well, I am the baby of the group. Everybody's, Justin's a year older than me. Sal's 2 years older. Doug's a decade older. And so, I am the baby of this group, but yeah, I'm no spring chicken anymore. And my wife's a year older than me. So at that point you start getting into your mid 40s, and it's probably not the healthiest time to have, even though she's healthy and we've had her all checked out. It's probably not safe.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not the best thing. Yeah. I just turned 50 this year.
Really?
Yeah. So I turned 50 in July. And, but yeah, it's like, so, you and I are in same, me and Doug, but, I do want to ask you, and I want to go deep here, like right out of the gate.
Okay.
This is a question that I was thinking of even on the way here, and remind me, were you 7?
7 when my dad committed suicide.
Almost same age.
Yeah, almost.
So the question that I have for you is, and let me give some context. So like, my dad left when I was 1, and then I reunited when I was 12, and then he left again, and then we reunited when I was 30, and we've had a relationship now for 20 years. And there have been times when my kids have been the same age as I was when something big like that had happened, like where he left. And now that I'm a dad, I'm like, how in the world could you do that? So I'm curious with, you have Max now. He's right at the same age. Like, does anything ever go through your mind of like,
complete honesty, until you just asked that question, I hadn't thought that much about it. Although I do remember when I turned 33, which was the age he was when he took his life. That was a different year for me, for that reason, because it's been so long that I don't have a problem talking about it. I don't feel like it brings up a lot of emotion for the most part. But I do remember when I was 33, there was this different feeling that I had of like, oh, wow, this is crazy that he exited right now. Like when I was 33, I'm like, my life is barely starting.
Yeah,
I felt like
started.
I didn't even have a kid yet. I'm like, I don't, how could you go out right now? And until you just connected those dots of that, I'm creeping up on that age. It makes me emotional just thinking about it, that, that's probably going to hit me like a ton of bricks. Like it's starting to feel right now in this moment, cause you got me thinking about it. I think that what I think about right now is that, he's so young that I hope he remembers everything that we've done. And I know he won't remember everything, but I hope he remembers a lot of, how much I am in his life, because I don't have that much of memories of my dad. I have very, very, very few memories. And I don't know if that's because of the trauma of that and I blocked a lot of it out, or was my dad not nearly as involved as I am? Because I think about the amount of connection and time that him and I have together. And it's like, I even ask him all the time, I'm like, yeah, when you get older, you remember all that. Like, I'm always mindful of telling that and trying to make memories, because I want him to remember all the stuff that how connected we've been. And the only thing I have, I think, for assurance right now is, the kid does, I don't care where I'm at in the house, when he gets up to leave school, he'll come running upstairs to find me and kiss me goodnight. I spend every day after school, picking him up. And from the moment we pick him up from school till he goes to bed, him and I are inseparable. We do a lot of this weekend coming up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is a father's weekend where he gets stoked that it's just him and I. Send mom off to do some of the girls, and we spend time together. He's flown over 9 times with me on planes. Like we do a lot together and are connected. So I just hope that, I mean, and I document all of it. So I'm also a bit obsessive about that too, because I don't have a lot of that either. I don't have any pictures of me and my dad when I was little, and so I want him. And so I think maybe subconsciously I kind of think about those things, because I'm sure that's part of the motivation. Like, it's not like someone told me like, hey, make sure you document it. Like, I just feel this pull of like, I want to have all these things so that when he, is 15 and wonders like, I wonder how much my dad and I spent time together when I was 4 or 5. Like, there's a lot of documentation of that. And I wish I had that to kind of look at maybe and try to draw on memories. And so, yeah, I haven't thought about it though until you asked that question, that we are coming up on that age. It's kind of wild to think, because if you took me back to that age, I feel like I felt so adult-like. And I think we covered some of this when you interviewed me last time. And I remember going through my therapy and my therapist helping me like realize like, hey, that's not normal, right? Like a 12, 13-year-old counseling his mom and dad on fighting and stuff like that is not normal. But I think at a young age, being the oldest boy and losing your father, like I think I was thrusted into kind of an adult role way before I should have. And I don't think I realized how far ahead that is until seeing like my son is like, of course, no way he should carry any of that burden or be thinking probably the things that I was thinking at 7. And so, yeah, it's going to be kind of a trip in just, 10 months or 9 months for me to make that connection. Because I do remember, what I was, at least, even though I don't have a lot of memories of my dad, I do remember thinking about big life stuff and the stuff that was going on in my life, and my mom and her new marriage and the fighting and all the stuff that was happening at 7 and 8. Like, and so to think like he's so innocent to me, and to think that, oh my God, to have a kid having to think about that stuff, like, oh man. I mean, Katrina and I are very intent, like mindful about our surroundings and him. Like he's watched his parents maybe work out disagreements where mom wants to do something, dad wants to do something, and see us have those conversations. But he's never seen mom or dad fight. He's never seen me speak down to his mother, swear. Katrina was like mindful of that even when he was in her belly. Like, she would leave a room where people were gossiping because she didn't want our son to be around that. And we've maintained that through his entire life. And I think his behavior and character is a reflection of that. He's like the most, we just did his parent-teacher conference, and we tend to use this term, so it was funny to hear the teacher say it back. It's like, he's the most chill kid I've ever met. Like, he's just easygoing, gets along with everybody, polite. Everybody wants to be his friend. Even the kids that are, crazy and wild, he even lets them down a way of not wanting to hang out with them, like, nicely. And so it's like, they're like, we've never met a kid that's so chill. And I think that's a testament to the intent that we went into raising and having conversation around him. So I know there's a long-winded answer to your original one, but you've got my wheels spinning about that age, and he's coming up on that. That's gonna be probably an interesting moment when that hits.
I'm sure it will be. And I you come across to me as, I've known you now for 6 years, and I obviously see you from a distance, but I think you can tell when a man finds fatherhood extremely critical and important. And dude, I'm even looking at the photo that's over, your shoulder, and of you and your boy. And I'll tell you, I'm just wondering, because like what you just said, I can relate to big time, because like there's a lot of things, man, that I do with my kids, and just being a dad now for 20 years, I've really reflected upon like, why am I so motivated to do this? Like, I think it really boiled down to, and you and I were about the same age when our moms got remarried, and it was chaos again.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I had to grow up fast too. But I'm wondering, man, for dudes like me and you who has had quite a bit of trauma, and we have that father wound that's really deep,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think you become one of two people. You either become completely checked out because that was your experience, or you just, I'm going to do this on steroids. And obviously you're the one who's like doing fatherhood like on steroids, like you're all in. And I'm just wondering, you know, do you think that there's some truth to that you're just like, man, I just want to give what I didn't have?
100%. 100%. And I think I wish I could remember at exactly what age I stopped looking at myself as a victim or feeling sorry for myself, and moved on from the resentment that I had towards my mother, and learned to look at it as, and truly look at it as actually a blessing, which is hard, I think, to even say, but I really do. Like my dad taking his life like that, 100%, made me into the guy that I am today. And I like that guy, you know, and I like that dad. And if that meant that's what I had to go through in order to be the father that I am today, then in a weird, twisted way, it's like a blessing in disguise. Like maybe I would have been this checked out asshole dad that was, you know, selfish or only career motivated or distracted in life. Like who knows? Like, but because of that, I probably thought about fatherhood more than a lot of men did. And I think that, you know, and maybe it caused a lot of pain early on, but then it created this guy that goes into fatherhood with an incredible amount of focus and intent. And so, and what's so rewarding and cool is watching that little thing grow and go and start to see like all the things of like, oh yeah, you remember that was you and I thinking about the way we did that, and look at it manifesting or growing into that. It's like, oh, I mean, again, it gets me emotional talking about it because of how appreciative I am of the opportunity to be that kid's father. Dude. It's unbelievable. And I definitely think losing our father, going through that, put it on steroids for sure, to put it, you know, plainly.
And what you just said was insanely inspirational. And I want to go back to that, to what you just said about the gratitude in that, but you were a victim for a while. I know in my 20s and 30s, like I was the total opposite of I am now. And I even still say to this day, like when I share my story, you know, at an event or on a podcast, I'm like, no pity, please. Like I don't pity this. I'm not a victim. I'm proud of this because like it made me who I am. But I got to tell you, I spent probably 2 decades in that victim mindset, be like, well, this is why I can't communicate. This is why I'm not a patient father. This is why that. And it wasn't until I don't even remember what happened, but there was like that line in the sand of like, wait a second. Could it be that my childhood was a blessing and I'm just not viewing it that way? But you and I think we know a lot of guys, and there's a lot of guys in my audience who have father wounds, and they carry that stuff. But I would love for you to advise us on, how did you make that decision of like, you know what, this sucked and it was not a good situation and it hurt and it was traumatic, but you know what, I'm going to make the decision that this made me into the person that I am. And I like that.
I saw this clip, and I think I had already started moving this way. So, which thank God I was probably aware of it, but there was this Tony Robbins clip, and I believe it's on the Netflix special. And I thought, man, that was such a great way to describe that reframing that I had. And this girl went to a Tony Robbins event with her mother.
I know what you're talking about.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's such a good story. Go ahead.
And she basically stands up, and they're basically, you know, kind of berating the father for what he wasn't and all the bad things and this and that. And Tony kind of flipped it on her and said, you know, well, basically all the great things, you know, if you're going to blame him for all the things that he didn't do and all the bad and all this, you've got to also blame him for all of the good things that you are and that you've come into and all this. And it was like, you could see that moment in her head, it just kind of like, oh my God, I've never even looked at it like that. And I think that's what I started to do with my own my own mother. And it started with my mother because I had a lot of resentment towards her for, choosing the men that she chose, choosing the first one who exited his life at 7, then choosing the next one that was verbally and physically abusive. And so I held a lot of that. Yet, while simultaneously having this incredible career and good relationships and all these other great things in my life that before that's all me, that my chip was because of all this, I do this and I'm that. And looked at it more like that versus looking at it going like, well, had I not gone through all that or had that father or had that mother, would I have that drive to be that person? And when I really looked into it and reflected, I thought, I mean, honestly, statistically, I shouldn't, it probably wouldn't. And so therefore, if I'm going to blame them and be upset for all those things, I should also give them the credit for all those things. And so that reframing for me, and I think it was like in my mid 20s when and it was a practice because I think, and I don't know if you remember or not, but I think you start by saying it, even when maybe you don't fully believe it all the way. So I think I practiced early on saying, I'm thankful that my mom was like that. I'm thankful that this happened. I'm thankful that my dad did that. When there was a part of me inside, I was like, do I really? Or even questioning it. But the more I practiced it, the more I reframed it, the more I looked at it, the better I got at seeing the blessings in my life or seeing the strengths in my life and then being able to directly correlate or connect them to, well, yeah, well, that thing that I used to call this trauma or feel sorry for about, it's like that probably created that attribute in me. And that thing that I had to do at such an early age, well, no wonder I was such a good leader at such a young age. And so I started doing better at being able to draw back to the things that I did like about myself, or the things that I did have that were successful, or the things that were good in my life. And again, I think I had to exercise that muscle at the beginning and just say it. And then over time, I think I started to really believe it. And then once I really started to believe it, it became really easy for me to kind of like you, like, please do not feel sorry for me. I feel blessed that I got to. And one of the things that I've communicated before is that I started to notice my peers and the things that that would happen in their life that would cause them to give up or quit or get frustrated or bitch about. And I was like, man, that's soft. And in early young me would point that out in a person, be like, oh, they're so weak, they're so soft, or this and that. It's like, oh no, I'm so lucky because I got to experience way more adversity at a young age that when this happened to me in my adulthood, I was like, no problem, I got this. And what a blessing it is that I got to experience that, where these people, these friends, or these people I'm pointing at probably had this like just cush life where mom and dad kind of took care of everything from them. And this is their first bit of adversity. It's their first real struggle. And come on, I'm sure when I hit my first struggle, I'm sure I cried or I gave up or had a hard time. But I got enough practice at such a young age that I built resiliency, which then built this character that just crushes these little road or speed bumps in life now. And so I got better at being able to connect those dots through practicing saying that. And then I think once I started to say that more often, I started to believe it. And then once I started to believe it, then it almost became a superpower. Then it was something that I can lean on and go like, oh yeah, this is good. And it healed the relationship with my mother. It healed all the trauma. For the man that's having a hard time with that, you also will, if you haven't realized already, the attitude of, pointing the finger, resentment, victim, all those things. I mean, that just, what that translates into or manifests into is just anger, hurt, disappointment, nothing productive, nothing healthy, nothing good. And so, part of like, what am I doing? Why am I re-torturing myself by having this attitude that results in these feelings, these habits, these behaviors? What if I reframe that, flip that, and then what happens from that? And then what I noticed came out of that were all these positive things. And it was like, oh yeah, this is a much better way to look at my life and practice. And that's where I think it became the superpowers, because it resulted in a happiness, and to like, oh wow, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. And but if you're in it, I understand. And at first, maybe what you do is you just practice saying it, and then over time you might start to kind of believe it, or maybe you'll get better at connecting some of those dots like I did. And then, I relate this a little bit to like when we help somebody through a health and fitness journey, they're trained most times to look at the mirror and the scale as their way of measuring their health journey. Just terrible way to get somebody to make health and fitness a lifelong journey. And part of my job is helping them connect the dots to everything else. In fact, having a healthy body and taking care of yourself results in a healthy mind, better skin, better hair, better libido, better sleep, better productivity, better husband. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's what good exercise and eating right does for you. Oh, and by the way, it might change the mirror and the scale a little bit too, but that's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
But when I first tell someone that, I can say that, and it sounds so eloquent or nice. It's like, oh, cool. But it's like, yeah, but then they still go right back to the mirror and the scale. And so what I have to do is I have to continuously remind them when they're discouraged and they go like, the mirror hasn't changed, the scale hasn't changed. Yeah, but how do you feel?
How do you feel?
How's work been going for you? How's your relationship going for you? How's your sleep going? How's your skin feel? How's your energy throughout the day? And then they start going like, okay, I guess it's been a little bit better.
Yeah,
That's a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then they start to slowly connect the dots, but they have to kind of keep doing that for a while before it really sinks in and it becomes the reason why they go to the gym. No longer because of that crippling insecurity of, I think I look fat in the mirror and so therefore I do it, or, oh, when I was this weight, I think I felt better, so therefore I want to get there. It's like those two things will lead you down a path that will eventually lead to this horrible cycle of yo-yo dieting and on and off the wagon, versus learning to connect the dots to what a healthy lifestyle will lead to and all the positive things. And so then if you can begin to do it for those reasons, then as a byproduct, the things that you actually were insecure about and really wanted at the beginning end up happening. And so I think it's a little bit like that. I think it's like I have to practice saying it, and then over time the dots start to connect, and then you go like, oh, okay, I get this now. And then it's who I am now.
I like that. I like that a lot. Going back just to the fitness comparison, I love the fact that you coach clients and people work with you to do that, to focus on those things. I've been in the gym for 30 years and I pretty much have just maintained, like I haven't really gotten like bigger or strong, but I will tell you, I always say, if I did not get more fit, I would still go to the gym, because the best, most euphoric feeling that I get is when I leave the gym. Or like if I'm stressed out, go to the gym. If I'm happy, go to the gym. Like it's all of these things, like taking out stress or anything like that, so I can be more patient with my kids. But like those markers are so much more powerful than just the scale and what you look like in the mirror, because it's beneficial. I do have a question for you though, coming from your background and mine. I've been a dad, like I said, for 20 years now, so I'm a little bit ahead of you on the dad thing. But here's what I've noticed in my life, being like my background, your background is somewhat similar. I have to pull myself back from over-serving. I have to pull myself back from over-comforting. Like I want to be that dad that swoops in and makes everything better, and or fixes the problems. And I have to pull myself back a lot and be like, no, let me see you fail. Let me see you solve this problem. Like, let me see you figure it out, right? Instead, like, I just have this tendency to want to overserve and overcomfort because I know how uncomfortable it is. The flip side. Yeah. I'm curious for you. Do you
so this
see that?
This is where you and I are a little bit different.
Okay.
And this is an interesting conversation because, my wife serves as good balance for me. And maybe this is because I went through a lot of that stuff, did a lot of the growing, working, probably we got to similar places, but then I had kids versus you kind of probably had kids through a lot of that process. And so that was part of the journey. Because I've already recognized and I'm blessed for all my trauma or all my stuff I went through. I lean a little bit on the side of like, I want to bring adversity to his life. Yeah. And my wife's always like, calm down. adversity will happen. Don't worry. Shit will happen.
Right.
And you're going to be a great dad. You're going to help him through it. And I'm like, no, we got to make it rough. Like, because I'm so, one of the things that I struggled with when I first had him was we brought him into a lifestyle that is so different than mine. And I value so much of the adversity that I went through and making the character and the man that I am today that I'm terrified that this cushy life that he has compared to me is going to make this. In fact, in the parent-teacher conference, the teacher's praising our son and going all these amazing, all this stuff like that. And my wife's like, okay, great. I like hearing all that. But what we're concerned about is we don't want him to be a people pleaser and a pushover. And the teacher's like, oh God, no, he's the. And then she goes on. So it was a really good, affirming conversation that we're on the right track of this balance that we're trying to have, because I tend to want to create more adversity in his life. I remember the first time I used to have to, and she's really the other extreme. She's very swoop in, very much. I got it and stuff like that. I was more, let him cry a little bit, let him struggle a little bit. Like I want him, or let's not give him that. Like he doesn't need that. Like I'm always trying to throw away all his toys. Like I'm that dad, he all he needs is a rock and a stick. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm totally that guy. Like I'm so the opposite with that stuff. And she's like, calm down. You know what I'm saying? But I used to, when he was learning to crawl, I would have to take him to another room because she couldn't handle watching him cry when he couldn't get, you get a couple and then he'd kind of fall and then he'd cry. And I would still, come on, son. I would just let him kind of cry and work it out and fight and struggle through it. And it just tore her heart apart, and she'd want to swoop in. And we'd kind of get into it about that. I'm like, you start, and she would make this, don't worry, there's going to be a place for it. I'm like, it starts now. There's these habits, these behaviors, and, we got to start implementing. Otherwise, you're going to be the parent that makes that excuse all the way through his entire life. And so, we're a good push and pull with that, because I'm very, not Joe DeFranco, but Joe with Spartan.
Oh, Joe DeSena.
Joe DeSena, thank you. I'm very much so in a hit camp of him. Like, I'm maybe not his extreme, but I identify. I identify with that. Wanting to make it tough, and probably not to his extreme, but I think about that a lot. In fact, when I'd get interviewed about my son or fatherhood and stuff early on, people would ask, what's your greatest fear or whatever. It's like, oh, my greatest fear for sure is that he doesn't have nearly the adversity that I had growing up. And I value that so much in the man that it built in me. And so I pray to God that I can find a way to manufacture that. And so, I kind of lean on the other direction when it comes to that stuff. But I have an awesome wife who balances out, and we push pull. And I'm trying to think of a situation where, like, here's another one. Like right now, this was like literally just a couple nights ago. We've had some interesting parenting stuff to share with you.
I came in just in time.
Yeah, you did. I mean, Katrina and I swear to God, never got into it. We got into it 2 days ago, so that was a topic. And then I just did this to her this weekend. I looked over and I said, hey, when are you going to break up with the Nanit?
With what?
The Nanit camera.
Oh, the Nanit. Oh, you still got that?
Yes. I go, because he doesn't need it.
There's
no need for this thing whatsoever. And it's been that way in my opinion, for a couple of years now. And, it's a security blanket for her. She loves that she could check up on our boy. And, I love what a loving mother that she is. And I wouldn't change anything about her. But, that's me kind of checking in with her going like, I know you don't think so, but he's getting so comfortable. He has 2 beds in his room. For like when friends come over and stuff. And, I mean, he's so at an age where its camera is so irrelevant, silly that it's in there that, he talks to her through it. Mommy, I'm going to do this or like that. And, or even worse, I caught them having this conversation the other day where, he got up from one bed and moved to the other bed. And Katrina was talking in the morning. She goes, I didn't see where you were at. You got up on your bed. He goes, yeah, I went to my other bed. And she's like, oh, I couldn't see you. So because he heard her say that, he gets up and moves to the bed, and now he turns the camera for her. And I'm like, this is getting out of control. This is why I had to step in. I was just like, okay, my son is like putting the camera on himself for you to see, like, you don't need him for anything for that. So, there's an area where I think that she can go a little too far on the, I don't know if I want to call it coddling or overprotective or that direction. And I'm the complete opposite. So we do tend to like push pull. And I could see her wheels turning as I was kind of challenging that, we want to encourage independence. And that's codependency right there. And I said, I'm not saying by any means that's going to turn him into this total codependent kid and you're ruining. I'm not going there at all. I'm just saying, like, at some point, you and I are going to want to continue to push independence in his life. And I think we can both agree that's a valuable trait. And that's a way that you can start that right now. And really the only person struggling with that is not him. It's you in the situation. And so that's me as dad. I'm going to put my 2 cents in and I'm going to go away. You make the decision when you want to do that type of deal. So we do a lot of that where, and she could do that. She'd do that back to me. Like I remember I had a really hard time, when Max was really little and he would go see her mom and she sees him every week. Sometimes twice or 3 times a week, but every week, like clockwork. And, she would get him a little dollar toy or like that, but every time he got to open a present.
This is the coolest mother-in-law on the planet, right?
This is the most awesome, so also makes a difference, right? The fact that I love her in our life. I love the relationship that they've created. But I remember kind of struggling with that because, again, I'm more he only needs 2 toys. This guy's like, we're training this kid to get a toy or a thing every single time he sees your mother. I'm like, this is bad. I'm over. And she's like, calm down. Like, this literally is like his relationship. We can have our own conversation and she doesn't have to abide by everything. It's not the end of the world. And I think I kind of took a step back and went like, he's not a spoiled kid. He doesn't expect those things. It's something special that they share together. Their bond and connection they have is second to none. Like his Nana is everything to him. And I love that. And me stepping in to that and shutting that down because I'm worried about what that's going to cause, like pick and choose your battles. And so there's an area where if I was running this ship by myself, I probably would have made a irrational decision that wasn't probably necessary, and she'll push back on me in that. And so we do pretty good with those things, I'd say, because we are so different in that area. But she's more like you. I'm more like, leave him out in the cold. He doesn't need a blanket. Dude, I'm into that.
So that's like my tendency though, but the interesting thing is externally I'm more like you. So like I'll be triggered, be like, oh, I just want to take the problems away. And then I'll be like, well, you need to figure it out. And Jessica will be like, it's a really complex, he'll figure it out. And be like, you need to help him a little bit. So like, sometimes I take it too far, but like, dude, I'm envisioning like Katrina coming home when Max is learning to crawl and you're like, look, I made an obstacle course. He's got to get over that and then navigate the broken glass, so he'll be fine.
Oh, it's fun, man. Parenting is such a fun thing, especially when you got a partner you really enjoy doing it with. It's a blast, and I enjoy those challenges. Like even those conversations forces me to be a better communicator, because I also recognize that I don't want to kill that spirit in my wife. It's what's most attractive, that she has this nurturing, loving side. It's one of the most attractive things that she has. I mean, she's taught me so much about love and made me better at it than I ever could be. And so how dare I come in and squash that? And so, but yet I think it's important to have some of the dialogue that, I think we agree independence is something we're trying to teach. And so how do I have that without insulting her, without hurting her feelings, without stifling what she wants to do? You know what I'm saying? So I really, parenthood is so amazing for so many reasons, and to do it with somebody like that and to see the growth and then the fruits from that, I would have never guessed. If you talked to 25-year-old me and said, do you think your 45-year-old wife after a kid you'll be more sexually attracted to and intimate with and all things than 25-year-old hot girlfriend that like a million times more? I would have never thought that. But building something, growing a human together, doing all this stuff like that has only made all those things that I didn't even think could get better than what they already were better and better and better. And here we are, year 16, and I'm like, oh my God, like the fact that that is at peak high it's ever been, and I said that last year, and it just keeps doing that with my 45-year-old wife with at post kid is just mind boggling. But I had no idea what a role building a life together, a marriage together, a business together, a child together would create all that other stuff, and I wish it was talked about more. That's why I love some of the work that you're doing and the men that you're mentoring and talking to, because I really think that at least our generation, we glorified the single rich dude in the high rise, apartment, banging 5 chicks with his 5 supercars and, living, flying all over the world and gambling and doing and, I think there was a part of me that was attracted to that, because we really have made the fatherhood, the bumbling married with children looking father or Family Guy father, or, or that it's a burden, and kids you can't have toys because your kids take so much money, and your wife is going to have kids and then sex will never be seen, and you go through the honeymoon phase and then it'll never be like that again. And man, that's such a lie. So much of that is a lie. And I think steering so many young men in the wrong direction. And man, fatherhood and a good partnership and marriage is by far the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life. And everything else is a distant second, third, and fourth.
I would agree with you, man. Well, let's actually talk about marriage. I mean, you've known Katrina for 16 years. You were with her for a decade before you guys had kids.
Mm-hmm.
You work together,
mm-hmm.
and you've got this tremendous relationship. And I'm just dying to know, man, what are some of the non-negotiables in your relationship that make it work?
First of all, I think she's unbelievably special and nothing like any woman I've ever met. So I think it's hard to even try and compare our relationship to anybody else's, because I don't know. She teaches me so much, and I think that I didn't think that was possible. I was attracted to, in my 20s, the girl that looked at me and because of my own insecurities, like the daddy, I needed my ego fed. I needed to be all knowing, the smart one, the leader, and I wanted that so bad that I attracted all these girls that had daddy issues and that needed that from me. And initially that always fed the ego, made me feel better, made the insecurities feel better, but then always dwindled out, and then the relationship was bad. And it took me a long time to figure out that's not really what I wanted in a partnership and in a life, until really meeting Katrina and realizing I want someone that I can build, grow with, that can teach me something too, and how rewarding that would be. So that's the start off. One of the things that it was so crazy attractive, and I remember first arguments or disagreements with her is, and I'm like this, and I think it has a lot to do with our past histories and working on ourselves and reframing and like that. Again, another thing that I could correlate, go I'm so glad I went through all that at an early age, because I learned that skill of taking ownership, to reframing, to all that. So that when I would get in a disagreement, and this is for any sex, it doesn't have to be my wife, it could be even if you and I did or that, I have taught myself to go, I don't care how bad or wrong you did me. I instantly go, what role did I play in this? Either how did I allow that to happen, or what did I say to get him to respond that way or her to respond that way? And she's 100% like that. And so it is the dopest thing ever to have, just like what I was sharing with you on our podcast, the situation that we had after, even though her and I went at each other, when we broke and went separate, she didn't sit there and go, I can't believe that SOB and he this and he that and blah, blah, blah. Her reaction to a conversation was like, okay, what did I do? How did I approach that? And I do the same thing. I went, okay, what? How did I come at her that hard, or should I have done it this way? Or so that is a crazy, and I don't know if you call that a non-negotiable, but a thing that we live by that. Like, and let me tell you, we've been together for 16 years. So there's been a lot of different things that we've been through. I don't care how wrong the other person is and how like someone else on the outside would go like, oh yeah, you were definitely the bad one here, or it doesn't matter. We both have that ability to go, yeah, but I played a role in this. Like it got here. And so what could have I done differently to have helped us as a team look differently at arriving at this point? She was a D1 college basketball player. I played basketball growing up. And so a lot of our conversations, we have this ability too, and I guess another non-negotiable is to look at our relationship like a basketball team, where it's like, sometimes you play center, sometimes I play power forward or point guard, sometimes the roles are flipped, whatever that, but ultimately we're on the same team and we're in to win. And it's so easy for her to connect that because she's went all the way to the further than I did in sports, and we both love sports. And it's so easy. Like if we choose to do this life together, we're creating the ultimate team. This is a team that will go on for decades and build another team underneath it. And so like this is the ultimate team. And so if we agree on that's this goal that we're going into this thing together with, and we have a disagreement or a fight, like how dare either one of us allow that to bring the team down, or for us to dwell on it, or to have resentment, or to ruin more days than already the day that's been ruined. Like, let's solve this shit. Let's figure out what went wrong and let's get back to winning. Like, right. And so we both have that agreement. It's just like, it's always about us as a team, no matter who dropped the ball or who threw the bad pass or who forgot to slide over on defense in that situation. Doesn't matter. We're on the same team. Let's get to the bottom of how this occurred and let's fix it and solve it and let's get back to crushing. And so that's kind of how we have been able to approach our relationship, because just like a missed pass, a failed defensive play, or just blatantly, doing something wrong on the court, at the end of the day, we still want to win as a team together. And so it doesn't matter whose fault it was more or less, if we truly want to be a championship. And so I think that's like this thing that we both share that makes the relationship very unique.
I think so. We operate the same way you guys do, which I think one of the biggest misunderstandings in a relationship is it's not you against each other. It's us against this thing, right? Even if the thing is like the example you gave, it's like we had this disagreement, we had this argument, we had this situation, right? It's not me against you. It's us against like, well, we just had this situation happen. So what did we do? And I think if more couples were to tackle it's us against this thing, it's not me against you, I think we would be way more successful.
Oh, you just pointed out something that I wasn't even aware of the way I communicated that to you and the verbiage, but I think it's so important. Like when her and I had that kind of big blow up, which is like, again, very rare for us to blow up to that level. And so imagine being in those, even in that heightened moment or in that heightened state where we hadn't solved it yet, we still looked at the thing as not a you problem or you did this or I did that, as like, how did this thing happen? Like we look at it as her and I attacking, like, that's crazy. Like we don't get like that. Like, how did that?
That's not us.
Yeah, that's not us. Like, let's get to the bottom of this. Like, and really the unpacking of it isn't the like, well, you did this, well, you did that. It's like, well, when I said this, I said, okay, I could have done that better. I get that. And then what else happened in your day? And like, we're literally like trying to solve, because we're so in disbelief that we would even allow that bad of a pass to happen in our relationship or that bad of a play. It's like, oh my God, we were so disheveled. Like, we know this play. Like, how is that possible? Oh, I didn't realize that happened to you. And oh, I didn't know that was going on with you. And oh, I didn't realize you thought I hung up and you thought I was like, oh, okay, now it's just starting to make sense. Like we were on different playing fields. We were running totally different plays and didn't even realize how different the plays were. And it's both of us are looking at the situation, and we're looking at the situation, not each other and what each other did wrong or didn't do wrong. And I think that's a good way to look at it. And I don't think we've ever sat down and said, this is a non-negotiable, but I think that's something we've created as a non-negotiable. Is like when shit happens in the relationship, it's shit versus us. The shit happened. Let's you and I go figure out like how we got there and then how we can fix it and make sure it doesn't happen again. Not the blame game, which I think happens in so many relationships. When stuff goes wrong, it becomes, she did that to me, he did this to me, I can't believe her, I can't believe him. And it's like, no, it's how about the thing is bad? You guys, not you guys, like, and solve together. And so, I think she would say that's probably a non-negotiable or a thing that we've created in our relationship. And I think the way you communicate about it matters,
Yeah, I agree, man. One thing that's come up in me and Jessica's relationship, we've been married now for 22 years, and it's like not the sexiest thing in the world to talk about, but it's something that's really emerged in our relationship, is our friendship, which is odd because, like, we're parents, right? We identify with that. We're individuals. We identify with that. We're also lovers. We identify with that. One of the things that I've noticed over the past decade doing this work is that I've noticed that married couples are individuals, obviously. They're partners and parents, and then they're intimate, but they kind of sort of forget about that friendship. In fact, they might even view each other as like, hey, it's me against you, it's enemies, right? But the more you talk about you and Katrina's marriage and relationship, the more I see this incredible friendship that's there too. So tell me.
Do you know why that is?
No.
Do you know how we met?
Well, how'd you get
me? We were friends for over a year before so Katrina and I's, is like nothing else I've ever dated in my life. I was trying to hook her up with one of my best friends. Okay. So I already had a girlfriend.
I did not know the story.
So first of all, we met on a business level first. So this is not to bore everybody with the long version and stuff like that, but I basically hired her massage company. She used to run a massage company. Her and her mom owned a massage company. She ran it for her mom. And I hired her massage company to do table chair massages for my business. And so I used to have to go meet with her every week and pay her. And so when I would meet with her and pay with her, I have a girlfriend. I don't even know what she's doing at that time, whether she's dating or has a boyfriend. I don't even know, because we have a total business relationship. But we started to really connect on a friendship level, totally platonic. I'd talk to her about books I'm reading. I'd ask her about what's going on with the business. I remember I wrote one of her comp plans for her to help her out, like make more and save money within the business. And we just built like this cool friendship and I really, really liked her as a person so much that I remember my buddy who we were really close friends that was back and forth with this girl that I didn't think he should be with. And I'm like, bro, you need a better, like, you're such a catch of a dude. And like, you need like a high level chick that's like going to push you to another level. And I was trying to push Katrina on him. And so to the point, this is like a funny story in our relationship, that they actually dated for a little bit and they talked to each other. And I used to text her as if I was him to help him with the communication with her. Yes. Yeah. True story, man. True story. So, and she loves telling that story because she didn't know until we were dating. And she, she used to say, she'd be like, man, I don't want to sell him outright, but so-and-so, he was always so smooth on text. And then we got in person, he would be so awkward. And I remember revealing to her, like, well, a lot of those texts were probably coming from me. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, he always didn't know what to say to you. And so I was, give me your phone, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? So I would text back, and like help him with that whole process. And she's like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
She goes, it makes so much sense now why that was going on for so long, where I couldn't figure out why this guy was such a great smooth talker via text. Then we get in person, he was just awkward and not the same guy. And so I was like, yeah, that was me trying to help my boy out. You know what I'm saying? So
it's hilarious.
So yeah, so that's how we met like that, having so much. And she has a funny story. She was massaging me at this time. We're still platonic friends. My girlfriend and I break up, and so she's massaging me. We're talking. I'm sharing the story and stuff like that. I think weeks have gone by since I'd been single. And I invite her to come down I had a connection at the comedy club where I knew the owners of the place. I said, hey, come down, bring some of your friends if you want. And, I've got a connection at the comedy club. We'll all, sit front row there, VIP style and stuff like that. And I got you. Just come down. And she's like, cool, great, I'm down, whatever. And she comes down and she brings a girl that she's trying to hook up with me, and so the funny part about this story is, like, this chick is like, I don't like this chick at all. She puts her right next to me. So it's like me, her, and then Katrina. Katrina's like sitting next to my sister. And the comedy club, I don't know how many you've been to, but one of the first things they tell you is please no cameras, please no heckling, all the things like that. And this girl is like doing all the things that the community, and granted, I've got connections to the owners. These are all my people. She's heckling. She's standing up with her camera. I'm so embarrassed that this girl is here. And I'm like infuriated. I'm like so mad that Katrina even brought this girl. And like we're walking out back to our cars afterwards. And I'm like, there's part of me that's kind of irritated. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry about so-and-so, this and that. But I really was trying to hook her up with you. I'm like, I don't need help getting laid. Thank you. I said, like, why would you even do, like, I was so irritated at her like that. But we're like friends at this time. So I'm like talking to her like that. Like, don't you ever do that. Don't you ever try and set me up with someone. I'll let you know if I need help getting laid. Thank you very much. Right. So that was kind of my attitude with her. And then again, it was later on where I started to like, as time went on, maybe, I don't know, this is like a little after a year or so, and I'm single at this time. I think she is. I'm not even asking her if she's dating or not. Like, because again, I'm not really viewing her that much. But now I'm beginning to like realize, I'm also in a part of my life too, by the way, where I'm coming out of that 20-year-old me who is aware of the wrong girls that he's been dating his whole life. And I need to do something different. And so the last two girlfriends before Katrina were different for me. It was like, I'm starting to date very different. And that, by the way, took practice and work, didn't come natural. I remember telling myself, I'm going to date different. I'm going to date girls that are based off of these characteristics, not how I would in the past. And so I kind of struck out on the first two that I did that. But I also remember going like, this feels better and more on the right track than the previous thing that my pattern of going back to trauma and the other insecurities and the wrong girls. And so I'm learning to look at relationships different. And so I remember like thinking about that with Katrina. I'm like, well, maybe I tried dating her. Like I thought she was cute and I really liked hanging out. Like we were like super cool. Like I've like loved her. I'm like, it's funny the way I talk about her. I speak so highly of her. I think she's so cool. I think she's good looking. Like, why wouldn't I try and date her? And I remember asking her out one time. And again, she hates this story, but I asked her, this was like it for me. This is when I believe I think she was the one, and she hates this story. But now that I've set the table of like all the lead ups to this, I throw her in the fire, man. I'm like, I like her. She's cool. So I'm going to throw her in, and I don't like methodically go like, I'm going to throw her in the fire. So I just preface that, even though I just said that. I'm going to invite her out with my boy and I. We just hit a big milestone in the business. We're taking a limo. We're going up to San Francisco, VIP style. And, typical 29-year-old guys that got a little bit of money in their pocket, feel good about themselves. Let's fill the limo up with chicks, me, you, and nothing but chicks, and go, bottle service. So the way I'm looking at it is like, Katrina's cool. She's cute. Like, I'll bring her along with me. But I also brought a lot of other girls too. And so I invite her and she's like, yeah. Oh, that sounds great. I'm totally down. And then I have a moment where I'm like, I'm working on myself too with the type of girls I'm with, being very honest and transparent in relationships. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be very blunt with her about the situation I'm kind of putting her in. And like, I just want to let you know that I'm inviting you. It's me and my buddy and a bunch of girls. And I do know there's a couple girls coming that I know are into me. I've never done anything with them, but I'm aware that they're into me. And I just want to let you know that I'm kind of throwing you into that. And she kind of was taken back for a second and she kind of chuckled. She's like, why'd you tell me that? And I'm like, well, I wanted to be honest with you. And I didn't want you to figure that out or find that out through the night and then think less of me or like, why would he do that? And so like, I just think you're super cool. I would love for you to come. I think it'd be a great time. And if you don't want to, I totally understand too. And she's like, no, I'm down. I'll come. I'm like, cool. So she came and, the night played out where these two girls were trying to fight for my attention, and Katrina, and I remember watching her the whole night, like, and inside I'm like wondering like, oh man, is this going to spin her out? And she's going to like, and she was having a blast. She would dance with other people. When I didn't have those two girls pulling on my shirt, she would dance with me for a little bit. And then if they were giving me attention, she'd be doing it. Then we're in the limo on the way home. She's talking to me. These girls are fighting for my attention, stuff like that. She's not, you could tell she's not even sweating it. I'm so attracted to her at this point. I'm like, the fact that she could be in a situation like that and not bother her at all or feel like she needs to get competitive with the girls or catty or get mad at me because, oh my God, how dare this guy bring me out and he's got these other girl. Like she wasn't like that at all. And I remember like those, like getting out of the limo, basically dropping those other girls off and then telling her like, hey, I want to take you out on a real date. Like, would you let me take you out? And she's like, yeah, sure. And so that was the beginning of our relationship. And it was a major moment. She hates that story because she's like, you sound like such a douchebag when you tell that story. I'm like, but it was so important to me. And part of that too, for the audience that doesn't know me and kind of my backstory, I was a personal trainer for over a decade before all this. And when you're a personal trainer, your average client is a middle-aged woman. And so I trained a lot of women. And I had a lot of girlfriends that had a really hard time with seeing me and within that came pretty women, a lot of pretty women that I trained. And I was very professional with all of them. But when you date a lot of insecure girls, that becomes a really problem. And I had everything you could think of, girls stalking me at the gym, like watching what I was doing with a client, to like, berating me with questions. What was she talking about? And it's like, oh my God, like this is my profession. I can't deal with that. And so to be used to those types of behaviors in the women that I was dating before, and then to throw Katrina in the fire like that, which I think is 10 times harder than a client. Like, of course, she's not going to care about a client I deal with. If I throw her in a situation like that and she rolls with those punches, I'm like, this is the type of chick that I want to be with. And that was a moment for me to start dating her. But it was all built on this friendship bond and respect that we had so much for each other that we try to set each other up with other people. And we had a friendship first. I never had a girl who I can honestly say that we were really good friends and then we dated. I always was attracted to girls. And then I would say that I was friends with them also, but I didn't build a relationship on top of the friendship. And I definitely attribute a lot of our marriage success and our relationship today that it was rooted in our bond and friendship first. And the other part grew and grew and grew, which was so cool. And I think that has a lot to do with what I said to you earlier, that I would have never guessed. And it's honest to God. I mean, I've known her since 29. Okay. And we're 45. She is way hotter to me at 45 post kid than she was at 29 in her, what you would think is her prime, for sure. That's like no bullshit, not even close in the same universe. And you got to believe that has something to do with the building of all those things and building on the foundation of a solid friendship that I think resulted in that. And so, I'm really blessed that we built a friendship first.
You're an incredible storyteller, guys. I'm sure you've been
told Madison for that.
No, man.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to be in so much trouble. I can't wait. Like, she's going to be listening right now, and I'm going to get the eye roll. And that you had to tell that story. I'm like, what's the truth? It's part of our story. What do you think?
Oh, man, I love this story. And the way you tell it, like I'm visualizing all this stuff happening, but it makes a lot of sense. Like me and Jess, man, we started like almost the exact same way. We were friends first, and she was dating somebody else. I was dating somebody else. And same thing. Like we would kind of hang out with the same circle of friends. Like we'd go to like dance clubs in college, and she'd go dance with other people, and I'd dance with her a little bit, and she'd go. But I truly understand what you're talking about, because she was like no other person I'd ever dated. And I loved that independence that she had, and she could just kind of go anywhere and do anything, talk to anybody. And she would just always blend in. And then after a while, man, we just started dating, and it was awesome. But yeah, it started there for us too. But dude, that is a killer story. I had no idea how you guys met.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I just want to make sure, man, that, what's Mind Pump working on now? What's important to you guys? What do you guys promote?
We've made a big pivot and shift in the company the last year and a half into personal trainers. So for the first decade, the main focus was general pop, and we've written over 20, 23, 25 programs, digital programs for people. Every goal you can think of, we have got a program for you. And that was what scaled the business initially. And, we knew there was this need for us to out this. And it ended up like a year and a half ago, the writing was kind of on the wall that this is what we were called to do. We all are trainers at heart. Most of my career, I was less of a trainer. I was more of a boss of a trainer. So I developed trainers longer than I trained people. And so we all got a passion for it. And we help so many coaches be better coaches by proxy of the podcast anyways. And so we created a trainer course that's nationally recognized first. And so it's an incredible course. And we really focused on what we thought was the gap in the industry. We did not want to compete with NASM, AFA, NCSF, all these great certifications that really focus on anatomy, physiology, really the scaffolding of personal training. We thought there was a massive gap in teaching trainers how to build their business. And so our course was really heavily focused on being a better trainer, client retention, and scaling a trainer business. And I think it's incredible. I think it's the best that's out there by far. I don't think there's anything that really competes or compares to it. And so we moved into that space a year and a half ago, and that's been a major focus, and that's been an incredible ride. We've got over 1,000 personal trainers in our course and in our community that we're on. It's an ongoing thing too. So once you go through our course, you're in our community. We're always mentoring. We're always developing. We're always bringing content and value to make them better. That's our goal, is to elevate the entire industry through the trainers. So that's one piece right there. That's the Elite Trainer Academy. And then our personal training, where we actually train clients now. So we've got over 17 trainers that work for the company. 11 of them are in-house, 6 of them are virtually. And, at all times, we're helping hundreds of clients all over the world, whether it be in virtual or in person. And so, and all that stuff you can find through our either our mind pump coaching, which would be our clients being coached by us, or our Elite Trainer. It's been the most focused. And we launched another podcast, and you can find it on YouTube. Or anywhere you can find a podcast at Elite Trainer Academy, and that's focused. It's Kyle, who is our fitness director, and he does a lot of interviewing of each of us one-on-one, like just me, just Justin, just Sal. It's kind of cool. If you've been listening to the show for a long time, you really get to hear our individual strengths in building this empire and what each role we play, because we're all very different, what we bring to the table, and also our skill sets relative to personal training and helping people. And so Kyle does a lot of interviewing of us right now individually on specific topics around the trainer business. So if you're an aspiring trainer or already a trainer, there's all kinds of free content there. And so I really encourage people, just like I always do, don't buy anything from me. Go over there, take advantage of all the free content that we have, and hopefully help you be a better coach and trainer.
Awesome, man. We'll have all the links in the show notes, man. I do want to thank you. I know that some of the things that we talked about, they're not the easiest things to talk about. But I appreciate your authenticity, your candor, and just being open to talk about it.
I appreciate you. I love the work that you're doing. I think it's so important, more so now than it ever has been. And you're doing a good job. You're making fatherhood cool again. So,
I love that line, man.
I appreciate that.
I love that line, man. Very good.